Internet brand strategist Sandra Beck interviews top business coaches, speakers, authors, and thought leaders to bring you the best business tips, tricks, and techniques to give your idea the best possible chance for success. From writing your first novel, to telecommuting from home, to taking your small business to infinity and beyond. Now here's your host, Sandra Beck.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Sandra Beck, and today we are talking about finding your unique superpower. Now this is a little bit different from the things that we normally do. We're going to talk about not only giving our kids something to look up to, but finding our own superpower as a parent, as a working professional, as what we teach our kids and is really what we teach ourselves. We can only teach what we know. And I'm so excited to have Stephanie Dumont here today because she's a leading executive and empowerment coach from San Diego. And for 18 years, she's successfully helped clients turn ambition and talent and objective into profits. Now, we're going to wrap this around the family. We're going to wrap this around the mom who works in and out of the office, the dad who works from home or, might be a real estate agent or an independent contractor, because kids model what we do. And even if you don't have kids, you can model for everyone around you your unique superpower. So, Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sandra. It's an honor to be with you this morning.
It's so much fun. And I'm all into superpowers because we're huge, we are huge superhero fans in our house, from Batman to Superman. I like Aquaman. I know everybody makes fun of Aquaman, but I used to throw water balls. I grew up on the shores of Canandaigua Lake in upstate New York near the Canadian border, and it was freezing. And I used to go down underwater, and I would try to pull the water ball to throw it at a fish, and then I would go under and try to call the fish. I mean, wow. I don't think I ever called a fish, and I never mastered the art of throwing water balls to knock out, the bad guys. But it shaped my belief that we all have something unique and special. And even though as a kid I tried to be Aquaman, because there's really, I don't even know if there's an Aqua Woman. But, my swim trophies, too, only had men in, they only had boys in shorts, like little bathing suit trunks. I didn't realize until I turned about 10 that's when I got girl trophies with braids. Up until then, all my trophies were boys. Which, I never noticed that until, I was cleaning out my mom's house after she died, and I found a whole box of my old trophies. I'm like, wow, they gave me boy trophies as a kid. But that's, and it's so interesting because it's about our beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about our beliefs. This applies, what we're talking about today applies to everybody and everything, because I believe that each one of us came into this world to share our unique talents and gifts. That's one of the big reasons I think we're here, that and love. And, some of us are aware of these traits and skills, these superpowers, so to say. We're more aware of them when we're young, just like you were talking about, right? When you remember swimming in the lake and doing these things, we're aware of them when we're young, but we don't necessarily, hone in on them or follow them because, we're told that those things are just for kids, or you won't make money with that, or even like it's not a real job, like you could never really make money, with what you deem as your unique skills and talents and gifts.
Well, and we're brainwashed by marketing. Let's be real. From the time, like I look at my 11-year-old and my 14-year-old, and they're like, you got to go to space camp if you want to do this. You got to go to science camp. Right now we're arguing over this $3,000 science camp for a week. I wanted to kill my school district for handing out these packets because, they come home and the kids really want to do it. And at like $3,000 for a single mom, sole supporting 2 kids, not happening. But we are brainwashed to think this way is the only way. You go to do this program, you pay for this, you wear these clothes. I mean, from everything from the sneakers on our feet up to our higher education, we are given advertising messages as to what should be and what makes a good whatever.
Exactly. And I was just talking about this concept the other day because I was talking to one of my clients and she was talking about going to get yet another degree so that she could, hopefully do what she wanted to do. And, we think that we have to have all these different credentials. And like you said, we're brainwashed to think we have to have all these things that we may or may not. I mean, there's a lot of young people, that can't find a job in our country that have very high degrees, that have master's degrees, and they can't find a job. So, we have to identify our most unique talents, skills, and gifts. And the thing about that is that we're never really taught how. And we, unless we're in the right environment, we're really not, ever even asked this question. So, I was told this when I first went into coaching when I was, young in like 1998, when I first went into the field of coaching, it was still considered quackery at that time. Yes. It hadn't been measured or studied. And I mean, I remember my own mother-in-law, she used to look me in the face and say, when are you going to get a real job? And, so we also have a lot of challenges and obstacles in front of us when we're trying something new or we're establishing something new or going into a new field, because sometimes we don't know how to match our talents and skills and gifts into a certain field. So we think that we only have options like A, B, and C, and we're not honing in on, okay, let's stop. Let's check in and let's take a look at, like number one, what are people telling you that you're good at? This is a big, hint of what some of your unique superpowers might be, is to look at, all through our life, people tell us, wow, you've got a gift of communication. Or, you know what, how did you understand that? Because you were able to explain that to me into a way, I've never heard it explained before. So, each of us have our own way of doing things, and people tell us throughout our life that we're good at something, but we're really not paying attention to it. So part of finding your unique superpower is like looking back on your life and thinking about and even writing down, what do people tell me that I'm good at?
Well, and I'm going to give you a flip side, too. And, this might make me sound like the worst mother ever. But, I've got a kid that doesn't shut up. I mean, every thought he has in his head comes out his mouth. And I was thinking about him the other day. I took him into my office just to run around and play. He's only 11, so he's not, he's kind of formed, but he's not fully formed yet. But he was up there and he ran in the training room that's right across from my office. And he's like, Mom, I'm going to teach a class in math. And so he taught a class in math to imaginary students, and he had the whiteboard and the marker. And I just sat and watched there from my office. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he would be the best teacher because he could talk all day long. And he could, he's kind of like Cliff Clavin, everything he reads in a book. Hey, Mom, did you know that a cow has 4 stomachs? Like, oh my God, and the cow goes in this one, and then it chews it, and it burps it up, and it farts out the methane. And, it's
everything.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
Yeah, but he's gonna be amazing one day, like you said. I mean, that is a skill. That is a talent, and that will be with him throughout his life. Also, as we go along, there are certain things that each of us understand so well, like that we understand things that other people can't understand, and we see things so clearly. And there are things that bring us like extreme joy. And that actually there are things that we do also that give us energy back. Like when I do a coaching session, I get off my calls and I'm high as a kite. Okay. I mean, it's crazy. My husband just goes, okay, honey, I know you're excited. And, I have this, I come up and I went, oh my God, I had such a great mastermind group and this happened and this happened. And it was so great. And, so your unique superpower will actually give you energy. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but while you were talking, I was thinking about it, and it's like, you know what? My unique superpowers are what gets me up in the morning.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I love to, I guess I'm not so different than my little guy. I love to share what I've learned. And sometimes I wake up, in the morning and I'm, watching something on TV or I'm reading something, that's my quiet time in the morning before the kids get up. It's like my time. And I can't wait to share it. I'm bursting to share it. So it's no surprise that I'm on the radio. I'm, training in corporate environments on things. So that desire it's not so much a desire to talk, and it's a desire to share. So my whole career has been around, information technology, the selling and buying and selling and trading of information, whether it's on a radio show, a television show, whether it's within the corporate training arena or within the author sphere. So, the superpower that wakes me up in the morning and goes, I can't wait to tell somebody this. How I tell it through a book, a radio, or a TV show is very different modalities, but it's all the same thing.
So what I hear is teaching is a value to you. And so our values get us up, and our values help us live fulfilling lives. And these are some of what we would identify also as our superpowers, is living a life that's based, that is from a foundation of our values, our personal values. So teaching is a value to you, and that's definitely one of your, USPs. That's what gets you up in the morning, is you have information that you've learned, and you're driven to share this information. And, you and I we've said this before, we've got a lot in common. And I'm the same way. If I read something, and, you and I were just talking a few minutes ago that, when we know better, we do better. And we read something, we want other people to be able to do better too. So right. We just naturally want to share this information. And, that's fantastic that you know that about yourself.
Excellent. I got to take us to commercial break. We're visiting today with Stephanie Dumont. Stephanie, how can people find you?
You can go to our website. I have a fantastic blog called Conscious and Carefree. It's the letter B, carefree.com. The letter B, carefree.com.
After these messages.
It's words you never heard.
Got a lead foot? According to state troopers, here's what not to do when you get pulled over. Don't be a lachrymous and start crying right away. It doesn't help. But if you're under 20, crying won't be held against you. Don't ask for a break, and don't yell or start any argy-bargy. And one trooper said, if they're going to flirt with me to get out of a ticket, it would probably insult my intelligence. But unfortunately, I don't get hit on all that often. So flirting or being a gill flirt won't work. Did you know that 15% of all drivers get 76% of all traffic tickets? And the odds of winning if you challenge a traffic ticket in court are 1 in 3. So what should you do when you get pulled over for speeding? Be courteous to the officer, and most of all, be honest.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
With Thanksgiving only a few weeks away, it's time to reinforce healthy habits in your daily life. We all know that holiday weight gain is a fact for many Americans, but it doesn't have to be. Enjoying the wonderful holiday season from Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's is tremendous, and you can definitely revel in the activities of the season, but not refrain from your healthy lifestyle. Use these upcoming weeks to fortify healthy eating and daily exercise habits. By ramping up your working out and nutritious low-calorie eating, you can strengthen your resolve of leading a healthy life and maintaining a trim weight. Now is the time to make clear eating goals and daily activity a part of your stick-to-it attitude that will carry you now and through the holiday season. I'm Annette Hammond. Like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
Hey, Hi, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm visiting today with Stephanie Dumont, and we're talking about superpowers. We're talking about our superpowers, how to develop superpowers in our children. And if you're like me and you work with a lot of millennials, they become like your children, and you develop them the same way: love, kindness, and firmness. So I'd love to know how you tied, this unique superpower in together with, from your corporate experience.
Yeah, well, so in 1998, I was actually hired. I was so fortunate. I was hired as a corporate coach for a motivational company in San Diego. And I helped help my clients identify their unique service principles. So I'm going to say that again. I helped them identify unique service principles. And these were services or skills that they could provide to clients better than anyone else. Okay. So at that time, I was coaching realtors, lenders, and financial planners. And that's a very competitive market. They were all, a lot of them that were outside of this company, are in competition with each other. And so they were really studying, what was it about them? How could they provide service in a way that no one else could, or in a way that they really knew how to do better than their competitors at that time? So that's where I came up with the finding your unique superpower, was in teaching my clients at that time how to identify their unique service principles.
Okay.
So your listeners' challenge today, if they choose to accept it, is to not only identify their USP, but to learn to articulate their USP to others. Okay, so to talk about it more and to learn to share about it with others. This goes with a marketing concept in business. Have you ever heard the marketing concept, the purple cow?
Well, I can do, if I ever saw a purple cow, I never hope I see one, but if I saw a purple cow, I'd rather see than be one.
Right.
I don't think that's the one we're talking about.
That's not the one I'm talking about. But the concept I'm talking about, this is a really popular marketing concept, the purple cow. And because if you're driving down the street, right, and you have a sea of black and white cows on the sides of the street, depending on where you live, and then all of a sudden you see this purple cow, you would immediately slam on your brakes, and you would go, what? What's going on? You would inquire about it. You may even get out of your car and look at it. You'd just be like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this before. So this is a marketing strategy that ties into finding your unique superpower and tying into identifying your unique service principles, in that you have to set yourself apart from everybody else. And that's the purple cow.
Got it.
So that's the purple cow concept. So, in regards to our kids in this subject, for the moms listening, here's another big piece, is that we tell our kids to go and be someone in the world. Right? That's what we do as good parents. We say, you know what? I want you to thrive. I want you to excel. I want you to experience life. I want you to travel and meet new people and experience new cultures and live a happy life and to, be prosperous. And so we tell our kids to go out and be someone in the world. And then, a lot of us end up not following our own advice.
Right.
And so this really gets me, Sandra. I struggle with this a lot with people, because a lot of people stay in jobs that they're really unhappy with for a long time, and it puts stress on them and it puts stress on our family. Or you talk to somebody about some of their hobbies, for example, and when someone talks about their hobbies, have you ever noticed that they come alive?
Oh yeah. What lights you up?
Right.
What lights you up? What blows your skirt up?
What blows you? That's a beautiful way to say it. I love it. So, I really for listeners today, I just want to kind of encourage you to look at what lights you up and also to document it, to take the time to figure out, who you are today. Because, who you are today is very different than who you were 6 months ago or 5 years ago, right?
Huge.
We're different. The world is changing so fast, and we have to keep up with the world. We're changing too. Our kids are developing, and they're moving up and moving on and going into these different stages of development. And these adults have this kind of like a default assumption that well, this is the work I've always done, or this is how I've always been, and so I'm just going to be this way, for the rest of my life.
Right.
And that's not how it works. It's not how it works. Our society, our world is changing at like rocket speed right now. And, and that makes us change. I'm a sociologist, and a sociologist studies the person's effect on society, and then it studies the society's impact on the person. And so, and it's really, that sociology it blew my skirt up, man. When I was sitting in a sociology class with my professor and a couple of my mentors, it explained life to me in a way that I had never heard it explained before, and it put pieces of the puzzle together for me that just explained how everything worked. So, we have to find that for ourselves, and we have to look at, I encourage your listeners to go, I'm going to take some time to explore, I'm going to make a list. Here's something that your listeners can do that's really practical and easy. When you're exploring your skills, talents, and gifts, make a list of all the things that you enjoy doing. Now, I know this sounds elementary, but the things that we enjoyed doing in the past and the things that we enjoy doing today are different, right?
Well, and can I just chop in for a second here and tell, if you're listening today and you can't come up with anything, because if you had asked me this stuff like 5 years ago when I was in the midst of the divorce, my mom just died, and I was knee deep in raising kids and then working, to support us.
Yeah.
If you asked me what my favorite drink was, I couldn't answer you. And I would have felt so defeated by this. But I just want to let people know out there are some of you out there that are so overstretched that just the concept of doing this is like, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And so take it easy on yourself. Not all of us can sit down and identify. And quite frankly, if we could self-identify this stuff, we wouldn't be on the show listening to this topic.
Right. So that's true. So, in regards to that, I would say even taking note of the small things that bring you joy. And I know you and I have talked about this before. When people are overstretched, you need to incorporate little tiny things that bring you joy. My biggest one that I love is music. So, we can listen to music, and that can occupy, the left side of our brain so that we can it occupies the right side of our brain so that we can better focus and concentrate. So just playing music, and, if a mom is doing a task, for example, or when I have to prepare for something, when I'm writing a lecture or I'm preparing for, a presentation, I will put on certain music, and I actually play the same exact music, and it literally tells my brain that it's go time.
Wow. And
I play the same couple of albums over and over again. And interestingly enough, I thought, I kind of questioned myself about it. I thought, well, gosh, Stephanie, aren't you going to branch out and listen to something else? But there was something about this music that I identified, several years ago. And when I put on this one CD, my brain went to creation mode.
Wow.
And so, it's so powerful. And so now I sit down, and if I have to concentrate, and, I've got dishes in the sink, unfortunately, that I need to get to, or my kids, I've got, certain tasks that are pulling me away and I just need to focus and concentrate, I put on music, and that can help a lot. So identifying these things, I use aromatherapy a lot. You and I have talked about this in the past, where when I'm working with clients or leading mastermind groups, I will light a certain candle, and the candle is like a citrus smell. And so the citrus, again, it's olfactory. It tells my senses to kind of wake up and to focus and pay attention. And it kind of lets me know that I'm going into gear this way. So there's little things that we can do to build up to this. If someone can't sit down and just make a list of, the things that they enjoy doing at one time, or just if you think of something, write it down. And just you can just keep a tally. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to take an hour to do it. So,
well, and I find when you had me, when I've done an exercise like this, I just keep a little Post-it by my desk. And when things pop in, it pops in like, what, I would really like to be doing this right now. Or I, like this, or, just real simple. It's, none of this stuff has to be like massive effort.
No, not at all. And so what happens is, for me, like great ideas come into my head and then they have a tendency to fly right out. I don't necessarily do an internal note to self. It comes very fast and furious. So I'm a believer that we have to capture, if we can, when we can, these ideas that come into our heads, or else they're like missed opportunities. Right. So, for me, like when I'm in a conversation with somebody and they say something, my brain will identify it as, oh gosh, that would be a great blog post. I got to write about that. And so sometimes I'll even say, can you hold on 1 second? And I will actually now take a note sometimes, or I'll jot it down during the conversation. And another thing that happens for me, and this might happen for moms and, business people alike, is that I get these streams of consciousness in the shower. Do you get great ideas in the shower?
No, but I get them in the bathtub. And I'm going to take us to commercial break. We will be back after these messages. We're here with Stephanie Dumont, and we're going to give you all sorts of great advice on how to develop some of these different skill sets. We'll be back after the break.
Your success awaits after these messages.
It's words you never heard.
Laughter was such good medicine. Ancient Greek physicians sent their patients to visit comedians to be healed. In the 1300s, surgeon Henry D. Mondeville used to tell jokes to his patients in the recovery room. Dr. Mondeville must have been a bit of a Witzelsuch. That's a person who tells jokes and no one ever laughs. We laugh 6 times more when in the company of another person than we do by ourselves, and 30 times more when we are in a group. Laughter isn't under our conscious control. If you've ever started cachinnating at school, in church, or at a funeral, you know what I'm talking about. Cachinnating is another word for uncontrollable laughter.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
There are many positive things about growing older. Having more wisdom and a more relaxed attitude are just a few of the benefits. But one downside of aging is a decline in lean muscle mass. All of us lose valuable muscle as we grow older, which leaves some of us weaker and more prone to injury. The solution is weightlifting. Livestrong states that for people over 50 years of age, weight training can be a great way to build muscle mass, boost strength, and improve certain medical problems. According to the American College of Sports Medicine, adults under 65 should lift weights 2 days per week, while those over 65 should weight train 2 to 3 days per week. Weightlifting builds muscles and bone and keeps you strong. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond, keeping you healthy, happy, and fit.
Hey, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm visiting today with Stephanie Dumont, and we are talking about superpowers. So, Stephanie, when we had to go to break, you were talking a little bit about, developing these and identifying them. And, you get your ideas in the shower. I get my ideas in the bathtub, mostly because when I go in the bathtub, my dad and my kids don't bother me.
Yes, and there's something really powerful about water. I'm finding out more and more. A friend of mine who's a big swimmer and also gets a lot of ideas in the ocean, I think he was recommending a book called like Blue Ocean, and it talks about how, when we go into water, we're immersed in water, that, we just really kind of go into this different state, almost like more of a beta state. And we're just open to suggestion. And so I was telling you that lately I end up running out of the shower sometimes because my ideals are so clear, and I'm dripping wet. And so I told my husband he has to buy these things called Aqua Notes. They are actually notes, that you can put in your shower. And there's a waterproof pencil, I guess, that attaches to it, and you can take notes. I'm just so excited about that concept.
That is.
Right? It would be fun for kids too. If you're, we spend a lot of time bathing our kids and, the kids in the bathtub, and that would be fun for them too, is having fun with them and creating some stuff together in the bathtub. So another thing you can do, and for people that have a little bit of difficulty just coming up with the things that they perceive are their talents and gifts, another good thing is that you can make a list of the people you admire. Have you ever done that?
No.
Yeah. So you can make a list of people you admire. And again, one person at a time. You can think about somebody that you look up to that's a superhero for you, right? That you identify as someone who has unique superpowers, and take note about it. And so what you can do is to make a list of all these people that you admire. And, I have to tell you something. When I was making my list, because these were interviews that I was planning on doing in the future for Conscious and Carefree, and I was thinking about the people that really shaped me, like the people that kind of were big influencers for me, it took me a while. I was just trying to come up with my top 20. And I was thinking, who are the people that I admire so much, and that people that really influenced me in my life? So that's a really great thing for your listeners to do, because what they'll find is once you get a list of 5 to 10 people that you admire, then you could think about what is it about those people. What are their unique superpowers? And a lot of times what you'll find is when you admire someone else's unique superpowers, that those superpowers and service principles could very well be your own. So it's really, really powerful. This was great for me because I made this decision recently in doing interviews that, I was excited about interviewing the people that had influenced me the most in my life. And this was just really important to me. I wanted to think about who have I listened to the most? Who's taught me the most? Who have I studied? Who have I read about? Or that may be like a grandfather. Like my grandfather, for example, to this day is one of the greatest men I've ever known. I feel so fortunate to have been his granddaughter because he just exemplified these traits and characteristics of just a really outstanding human being.
So, and it even works for TV and movie characters.
Yes,
when you were saying that, I was thinking, yes, I love Aquaman, but if I had to be any superhero, would I want to be, you'd think I'd want to be Wonder Woman, but I wouldn't. I would want to be Batman because Batman had all the cool toys, and I'm totally gadget girl. I'm a, tech background, and I love to get technology to do things. And then, my older son, who's just like me, he is a huge Batman fan, models after Batman. And then my other one models after after Spider-Man, and he's the one that's literally crawling the walls. He's my little dancer. He plays soccer. He's moving all the time. And, Batman doesn't really move that much. It's kind of my older kid. I mean, so like I could draw those corollaries with what we like to do, our personalities and our energy levels right there just by making a list.
Absolutely. It's really interesting that you just shared that about, I guess it would be really good for somebody to say which superhero specifically that they resonate with the most. When I was in 1990, and why exactly. In 94, I was a teacher's assistant in a classroom, and I was looking to teach learning to learn skills, if you can believe it, for a company. And I was in a classroom with, they were, I think, first graders. And the first graders would come into the room and they were all really uncomfortable and they didn't know what to do with themselves. And I was watching them. And, during this experience, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if they could read a story or if their parents could talk to them about all the things that they have to look forward to in their first day of school? And I came up with this character, and I invented this character, and her name is Positive Penelope. And so I wrote my first story about this character who was, at night, she was getting ready for her first day of school the next day, and she was talking about all the things that her mom was talking about, all the things that she could look forward to, and you're going to make new friends, and you're going to have this great teacher, and she's going to teach you about the world, and all these things. And so I had to create a character myself that was my superhero, and I continued to develop this character, and I'm now doing some things with that. I've since recorded some music, and I wrote a whole series of books. So sometimes we need to create this ourselves. Sometimes it doesn't exist. Our unique skills and talents and gifts. We don't see it out there. We haven't noticed it enough. And so that's part of the gift too, is that we can create something. We can create something new that hasn't been created yet.
Well, and we can also, I love that, because we can also use it to get through tough times.
Yes.
They really like I have this massive collection of Batman t-shirts. I have them in pink, I have them in red, I have them, in the traditional black and gold. And when I was going through my divorce and my mom was dying, I would put on how sometimes you wear a t-shirt under a sweater or a t-shirt under a blouse and a jacket, just because you don't want to sweat through your good clothes. So when I was going to court or going to the hospital or going to hospice, I would put on my Batman t-shirt. And it was, they were little teeny, soft, tiny ones, like the tiny baby t-shirts. And I would put those on, and the bat shield would cover my heart. And I would feel like I am protected. I am Batman. I can do this. And I'm a grown woman. It's not like I'm some 10-year-old kid doing this. But it was a way that I could prepare myself, almost like a soldier puts on a uniform, or a policeman puts on a uniform. I put on my little superhero shirt underneath my clothes because I had to look professional. Or sometimes I would wear my Batman necklace, or I have a Batman watch.
Yes.
And I would use that to give myself strength. And I know people lean on faith. I lean on faith too. But there's no reason you can't wear a Batman t-shirt and a cross or a Star of David or whatever it is you practice. Those little things allow us to anchor on something other than our fear.
Yes, that's really important. Those are called talismans.
Yeah, talismans.
Yeah, talismans. And, it's so funny because I belong to a goddess group, and we use talismans a lot. So you can use gems, like crystals and gems, and I know that can be a little airy-fairy for people, but you have to find what works for you. What works for some people doesn't work for others. I love the Batman t-shirt concept, Sandra, honestly.
And the other thing that you can use with the bat signal, because I'm just going to go off on Batman today.
Yeah, I love it.
But I have friends from around the world, and I can't keep up with them, but they are my core girls. There's one in England, one in Israel. You know, we all went to school together, and then we obviously we're from different countries, so we went back to our home countries, and hard to see each other. But if we put up the bat signal as our Facebook, I know to call them. If I throw up the bat signal instead of my profile, when my friends see that I put up the bat signal, I will get like 10 phone calls, 10 emails, WhatsApp, and I can say, this is what's going on in my life. Girls, I need support. I need help. And, you know, you rally the troops, just like, you know, in Gotham City, they put up the bat signal. You can have fun with this in your life, not only with your kids, but with your friends. And so if you put up the gemstone, then your friends on Facebook, the ones who knew what the symbol meant, would know to reach out. And, you know, it's just super fun. It's like being superheroes and secret agents in our own lives.
I love that concept so much. It's so incredible, Sandra, because you read my mind. You actually took us into this next point that I was going to make, and how important it is for us to surround ourselves, just like you said, with our core girls or our core people, that to surround ourselves as much as we possibly can with people who are, you know, superheroes in their own lives, with people who get us, with people who are helping us to expand and helping us to be in solution versus problem. I mean, this is really key, what you just hit on. And, you know, we need to surround ourselves with people who are doing it, like who are walking their talk, people who are speaking it, and people who can just help us to reach higher. And it's so important for us to just make a commitment to this at any point in our life. You know, we really need to kind of assess, like, who are we spending time with? Are these people multiplying our unique skills, talents, and gifts, or are they actually subtracting? Are they just like this big energy suck? And I love what you said, too, about reaching out in a way that only you and your core girls know about. That you can ask each other for assistance, or that you can say, hey, I really need to have a conversation with somebody. And you don't have to go on Facebook and just say, you know, I see people share this stuff on Facebook. I feel so bad for them because they're just like, oh my gosh, I'm having the worst day, you know, please someone. And it's just this cry for help. And I love the idea of having this like secret code that you can have with people, you know, a picture of the T-shirt. You know,
anything. We're going to go to commercial break now. We're visiting today with Stephanie Dumont. We're going to be back with more tips and tricks on how to work with the group, because no one's in it alone and it takes a village. We'll be back after the break.
Your success awaits after these messages.
Close your eyes and imagine living your life without limits. Where would you go? Who would you meet? What would you do? During an Uncover Your Hidden Genius session, you will discover what's keeping you from living your life with purpose, passion, and fulfillment of your potential. You'll get a clear vision of the steps you need to take to uncover your hidden genius so that you can live a life without limits. Sessions can be done over the phone, Skype, or in person. Find out more at www.joycebufordempowers.com or by calling 903-287-0747.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
Information about book publishing is power. The power to change your authoring life, and the power to change the lives of your readers. So join us for Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. You'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now. As the book shepherd, Dr. Judith Briles is in. And each week, she will include publishing professionals that will reveal tips and secrets to the author's journey. If there is a book in you want to listen, learn, and yes, call in with your questions each week. For more on Judith and what she can do for you, check out her website, thebookshepherd.com. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and The Book Shepherd with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Hey, we're here with Stephanie Dumont, and we're talking about unique ways to team build and creating your super team. That's I'd like to talk a little bit about that, before we get into things in other depth. One of the things we talked about was me putting up my bat signal when I needed my core girls or my friends to contact me, instead of putting up a weepy post that I'm having trouble and getting 56 people thinking I'm a basket case.
Right.
So one of the interesting things about the unique superpower concept is when I was on break, I was thinking about the 5 or 6 girls that are in what I call my core girls, the girls I go to, my go-to girls. When I'm in trouble, when I can't figure something out, when I can't make a decision and I need them to weigh in, I realize they all have different superpowers. They're all different. We are like the Justice League,
Yes.
And developing your own Justice League is huge, because you've got somebody who has great personal strength. You might have the gadget girl, great personal strength might be Superman. And then you have, the Batman, who's the tech gadget, and the logical thinker, the C in the group in the disc profile. You look at these things and you can also help your kids to develop their own team, their own group of friends that really are there to support them. And, like interlocking puzzle pieces, we all lock together. And doing this in your team building, giving people a superhero name, or saying, Sean in my office, like he's the tech god, the tech guru. So, he could be Batman, and, you can have some fun with this, but you're also honoring the person's unique gifts by giving them, but nobody wants to be Aquaman. We'll just put that out there. We're honoring people and their unique gifts by giving them these roles that they can excel at.
Yes, I love that. And you know what is really important, too, is when you identify somebody's gift, like you were saying, Sean, in your office, tell him what he is good at. This is going to sound simple, people, but it's really, we just don't do it. It's simple but not easy. Just say, gosh, Sean, I love how you took the bull by the horns. You really know how to do whatever it was that they did.
Right.
Imagine if we all walked around, right, in our society, and we had an experience with somebody. Like, I'm the type of person that if I am at a store and I have an exceptional customer service experience, I will take that minute to go to the manager of the store and just say, you know what, Joe over there just kind of blew my mind. He give him some attention or give him a raise. So it's really simple. And you just make a decision that you're going to start doing this. And then you can help other people to expand their talents and skills and gifts by telling them what they're doing right for you. Because we're really good to say, oh, yeah, you really messed up. And we do this with our kids. We do this with our spouse. We do this with, people in public. We're angry when somebody doesn't serve us in the way we want. And we've never really been taught to say, you know what, you just still did a really great job with this. Or, you know what, I really appreciate when you speak to me this way. Or, it's just really simple. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a mitzvah or a gift that you can give someone just by identifying, like you said, these superpowers that they're exemplifying, pointing them out. That's really important. And, I cannot overemphasize what you were talking about when we got on about building this team. So, in the mastermind groups that I work with, often these women, they will or won't know each other. Some know each other a little bit, but they've never worked together in this type of format. And they work together for extended periods of time. The shortest I do a mastermind group is for usually about 3 months. and they meet once a week for an hour on the phone. And so I honed this skill with my mastermind group members in helping them to figure out what their niche is. This is really important with a group too, and your tribe and your core girls. Is sometimes you'll find that you have a niche, and then you can help each other kind of develop and expand this niche. And we were talking about marketing and competition in the workplace and things like that. But developing this niche also will help you to expand yourself in those areas. And so that way you can learn how to emphasize this niche and to expand on it, and you can learn how to use it. And it will actually help you develop yourself even more in that area and help your team or a group develop themselves more in that area. And so when I'm working with the mastermind group, each one of them start to recognize their unique superpowers, their USPs. And then the other people in the group kind of point it out and say, wow, you do this really well. And then they kind of go, I do? And it's like, yeah. And then that person starts to kind of build that muscle like you would when you go to the gym, and they start to learn more about themselves and they develop it. And then they can do that with the whole group. You could do that with your whole team. That could be a team building exercise, right?
Or a family building exercise.
Or a family building exercise. That's right. You could sit down with your family, every Friday night, and you can point out, we used to do something in my family called an encouragement feast.
Ooh.
And an encouragement feast with our family. And I highly recommend this to, parents listening. And you pick a night of the week and you sit down with your family, and each of you goes around the circle and points out something that they, that surprised them, or that they were pleased about, or that kind of made their day even. And you share it with the other member of the family. And everybody does it for every member of the family. So you take turns, and, you would do it about your spouse or, significant other, and then you would do it about each of your children. And then your children do that about you as well. So, and it's very, very powerful. Encouragement feast, even if you could do it once a month, it really makes a strong impact on the family. And another thing I do with my kids, Sandra, often, my kids are teens now. I actually have, I have 2 kids and 2 wonderful stepkids. I'm very, very fortunate. And I will often sit down with my kids when we're, going somewhere or doing something, and I will ask them how I can be a better mother.
Wow.
You ever done that with your kids?
Not so much, because mine are younger, so they're probably going to be hey, we can have soda for breakfast.
Well, you could say, or we can do something. Yes, I understand what you're saying. They might surprise you with something like that.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised when I ask my kids I probably ask them like every few months, especially when I'm really super busy. It's a way that I can really hone in and connect with them and let them know how important they are to me. And it leaves myself also, it's an act of courage to ask someone how you can be better. And you can do this with a team. You could say, how can I be a better manager? How can I be a better affiliate or a boss? And it takes courage to ask, because, somebody may give you constructive criticism. So you just have to look at it as, okay, I'm going to choose to be a better person in this moment. And, and I'm going to take this advice. So oftentimes my kids will be just like, I maybe to, take me here more often, take me here to do this more often, or I could use your help with an English assignment. So often it's really small stuff. And sometimes I've had my kids just say, yeah, nothing. You're doing good. And I'm like, really? There's nothing? And they say, no, there's nothing. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna fly that. I'm gonna figure out a way to phrase it in a way, that's like, age appropriate for each of my kids. But, Yeah, because I could just say, like, what do I do that drives you nuts?
Yes, you could ask them that, but that you're asking a negative question instead of saying, what do I do with you that really, like you said, flips up your skirt, that really turns
your skirt up?
What gets you really excited that mom does with you? And they might say, oh, you kick the soccer ball with me, you go to my competitions with me, and we go out for, like you said, an ice cream cone afterward or something like that. But it just lets our kids know that they're important to us. And it can let your team know that they're important to you. Yes. You can do this with your team. You could do this with your core group. You could do this with your spouse. You can do it with anybody. And another great question that really turns people on is asking people, what do you need from me? This is another really, it seems like kind of a no-brainer, but it's actually really a brainer because we don't do it. And especially when we're stressed out or we're going, pretty quick with our team or with a person we're working with or with your kids, this question can go a long way. It's just, what do you need from me right now? So it's a really powerful little thing to have in your back pocket. And I want to encourage your listeners to do it. So, also, so I want to go back to the superpowers. I know we only have a few more minutes left together. And something else that people can do to identify their unique service principles or their unique superpowers is to find out who you want to help. Because, we know we want to help, but we don't always know who, and we don't always know how.
How. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how. So here's another. So we need to identify the causes and the people that we're passionate about helping. This can help us a lot with identifying our superpowers. So I want to encourage your listeners to kind of just gnaw on that, to think about that for a little bit.
Love that. Stephanie, go ahead and we've only got a minute left before the end of the show. Go ahead and give your website again. We're visiting today with Stephanie Dumont. This is Sandra from Coach Talk Radio.
So my blog is Conscious and Carefree, and it's carefree.com. I do one-on-one coaching. I lead mastermind groups over the phone, mostly in Los Angeles, but in San Diego as well. And if you're interested in joining our blog, sign up and you can get a free blast each week at carefree.com. And if you want to find out more information about what we discussed today, I would love to have a chat with you.
BeCarefree.com. We'll be back again. Yep, we'll be back again next week with more insightful information from great thought leaders. Thank you, Stephanie Dumont. This is Sandra. We'll be back next week.
Thank you, Sandra.
On behalf of Sandra Beck, we want you to get out there today to make more money with less time and effort so you can live the life you want. Tune in next week for more tips, tricks, and techniques on Coach